So, welcome back to another episode, and welcome back me too. It's been a while. Last year, I visited many places, many farms, and I was humbled by all this successful or striving to be successful homesteaders, farmers that I now call friends, and I've learned so much. And I got all these ideas, all these theories that I wanted to try out. One of the big reminders of last year was how much it rains here, how to retain fertility in the ground, the continuous input that farming needs. So I always thought about having a greenhouse, but I was like, what would it look like if it's on the ground? I don't like the greenhouse being too enclosed. So I say let's keep it open, good airflow, invite the pests in, but what if there's enough diversity that, we can kind of mitigate that somehow. I wanted a lot of different plants and kind of like a wild image. So anyways, let's start from the beginning. First of all, when we cleared it out, the ground, we noticed it kind of dipped in like a bowl, and usually that's like a less ideal place to plant maybe like trees or something, and it's more like a pond, potential pond. But we decided to do a greenhouse here because the garden beds will be elevated from the ground anyways, and we say, what if the water table, of the occasional rise of the water table and the water drain out from the cracks of the lava, it can self-water itself and it will retain moisture longer. Now the drainage will be an issue, so we added black cinder a little bit, not too much, because also the greenhouse gets hot, so we want to make sure moisture retention is good. So with that, naturally you want good amounts of organic matter. So we had access to just the dirt we have here, horse manure, I amended with some chicken manure, and then a little bit of black cinder and some mulch you can get from either the county or the Home Depot, the big bag. So that was the initial setup of the mound. Then we started getting rabbits. So I say the input from here on would be rabbit manure, and so we kept filling in, topping it off with rabbit manure. So rabbit manure is dry, it doesn't rain in the greenhouse. To allow the rabbit manure to encourage it to break down faster, we put rabbit manure in a bucket of water to make liquid fertilizer. So every time we water the greenhouse, if it's dry like this, it's liquid fertilizer with rabbit poop, and then the pellet gets nice and soft. As we pile it up, the little bugs and worms can digest it easier. So that's the method right now. Before we had a dog attack, we also had some black soldier fly farms buckets going on. So my girlfriend would take the rabbit poop, feed it to the black soldier fly further digests it, and then it comes out in a frass form, more immediately bioavailable. So you just sprinkle that, and that was like putting a dynamite fertility into the garden. Everything just flourished. So this garden beds are just layered and layered and layered with rabbit poop. And this garden is about time is a blur, but I think it's 6 to 9 months, between 6 and 9 month greenhouse, probably closer to the 6. But everything is doing good. We have tomato, we have beans, we have peppers, daikon for the bottom layer, daikon and carrots, good root vegetables for the bottom, hoping that it will encourage more airflow and tilling of the soil with these strong root vegetables tilling the soil. So tomatoes was one of the things we wanted to grow heavily here, because outside it's so hard to grow at this elevation, about 2,000 feet in elevation. It's really hard to grow. So we planted tomato, and tomato just will feed as much as you give them. And we have a lot of fertility here. So the tomato just explodes like this prolifically. And tomatoes been a learning curve. They require a lot of pruning and trimming. But if you do it correctly, the bottom is all pretty much bare naked for a tomato, because it's all stalk and the foliage is at the top. So we planted beans at the base, so the beans will use the tomato as a trellis, and that's been working good. We got some beans. We had a really good harvest yesterday. But also another thing we been experimenting with rabbit poop is putting rabbit manure in a concrete mixing or some kind of container, putting water in it, putting a lid on it with pot holders, and putting a solar powered oxygenating thing going on, and we are doing hydroponics via rabbit poop. So let me show you real quick. We just ate our final round of lettuce. Well, we just planted arugula. But so this is what it looks like. This is where the nutrient and water is in, and there's a plywood lid, and this is strawberry hydroponically with rabbit manure. This rabbit manure. Same with tomato. Tomato is doing better down here than up there. And then we're doing arugula. So we are finding out that for this space and this much rabbits, the amount of rabbit manure we get is so much that we don't need to add to this very often. And then now the rabbit manure is going further and further away from this greenhouse, sufficing the lack of nutrients outside the greenhouse as well. So that's really cool. And the input to the rabbits is just Mexican sunflower primarily, and grass and other foliage, ground covers, and a lot of this is just weeds that pops up everywhere. Hono grass. They love sweet potato, perennial peanuts, just any kind of grass. These kind of ground covers. Try it if you're interested in doing this. You try just a bunch of different things. You observe, like, oh, they ate this, they didn't eat this. You know, next time pick more of the ones they ate, kind of thing. You know, so that's what we've been doing. But they can solely survive on Mexican sunflower, and I've noticed weight gain recently when I separated the rabbits. So each individual rabbit has each individual pen. They exercise less, they fight less, they play less, and they're just at peace. And they eat and they gain weight at a steady pace. So the calorie retention is pretty good. Rabbits do get lethargic. Sometimes they're prone to being sick. I hear that tobacco is good for that. And I've tried some tobacco in their food, and I've seen a recovery from a lethargic sick stage to more healthy and responsive and active stage, just healthy. So we are actually growing a tobacco plant here. And also tobacco is good with pests and whatnot. Hopefully. That's what I hear. I never tried it out, actually noticed anything. But this greenhouse is about 6 feet, a couple inches at the lowest point, and this is about 7.5, 8 feet at the highest point. I honestly didn't know how big tomatoes could get, and I never seen a tomato, this crazy before. I never dealt with, tomatoes potential before, so I would have made this greenhouse taller for them to reach higher, if I could redo this again. Yeah, when I trim tomatoes, because tomato grows so vigorously, I need to prune back tomatoes. And although tomatoes are not their favorite, they do like to eat a decent bit of tomato leaves. The biomass we get from these plants, it goes to the rabbits. The rabbit manure comes back here. And also the foliage, the feed we give them, oftentimes they step on it and they poop on it and they pee on it, and it kind of gets a little nasty, and too nasty for them to eat it. So every day when I go out to feed the rabbits, I kind of clean the cage, and I'm like, ooh, this is kind of nasty. We put it back in on top of the banana plants. We mulch the banana plants with that. Essentially, you gather resources from outside of the greenhouse to feed the rabbits, which is kind of like the engine of running this greenhouse. You're kind of giving it fuel, and the rabbits eat this, give us back fuel that produces foliage that goes back to the rabbits, and any excess like mulch, it goes out to the bananas and other plants. So it kind of became this like machine of like a fertility machine. There's many avenues to create fertility from rabbits, and in a very controlled way. And I'm really enjoying this. So any, machine in this fashion will require human input in the form of time, labor. So how much hours do I spend in the greenhouse every day? Cutting grass and gathering food for them takes about, realistically, half an hour. So I'm just like walking around the farm, picking, cutting, and I fill up a 50-pound bag of feed bag. And once that's full, I go around, clean the cage, feed the rabbits, mulch the bananas if need be, water the greenhouse with rabbit poop water. So about 45 minutes a day, realistically. And that's the only downside, I would say, to this, is I've created a fertility engine or fertility machine, and it's hungry. Obviously, the less animals, the less rabbits you have, the less work you need to do. But we have 9 with 2 guinea pigs, so that's a good amount of work. 45 minutes. But if you're committed, and if if you're in it to win it, then 45 minutes a day is nothing, right? And if you want to go camping, you can scoop some feed, put it in like the dry feed. That's like your fallback, right? If you're too lazy to spend time, because 45 minutes a day, if you want them to fully sustain solely off of foliage. But you can go feed, and you can cut that labor cost, but spend money on feed. 50-pound bag of rabbit food is about like $26, $27, and that'll last for 10 rabbits. That'll last like probably like a week if you're lucky, So let me know if I've missed anything, if you want me to cover anything else, talk about anything, just let me know. Although this was kind of brief, I gotta say I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back on the YouTube world, and I want to conversate more about farming and planting. And you know, we have big plans on this farm, and hopefully it's big enough to make a little impact, positive impact in the community, and help people thrive a little bit more. You know, we want to contribute to the foundational knowledge that this community has collectively, so we can all become better farmers and gardeners and homesteaders, and you know, all the necessary skills and knowledge we should share, I think. Thank you for watching.